Hey there, Jim Johnson for Accent Help. And I want to talk to you a little bit about Cajun, the accent and the origins of that accent. And it is like there are multiple origins. So Cajun actually comes from the word Acadian. So Acadiana was a part of primarily Canada, but some regions of Maine actually consider themselves Acadian-esque, at least. There's Acadia National Park is up in that region of the US, up in Maine. So that eastern part of Canada, largely Nova Scotia and some areas around there, that was the land of the Acadians, who were French-speaking Canadians. And they were also already at that time mixed with Native Americans, and so there was a mixture of that, but it was primarily a French culture. Well, in time, in the 1700s is when we had really where the determination was that England ended up winning and getting that part of the country. And a lot of these Acadians were hesitant to pledge their allegiance to the English. They considered themselves much more French. And so a part of that sort of resistance to giving in that resulted in the Great Expulsion, the Le Grand Dérangement, something like that. The grand derangement, the great like kicking out, you could think of it in that way. So these Acadians were basically forced out of that land, and then people who were loyal to the British throne were given that land. Some Acadians would pledge loyalty so they could stay, but most did not. And so they fled, many of them to France, but some of them also fled to a French territory, the Louisiana land. So they tended to settle more in that southern part of Louisiana right along the coast, which was much more swampy. Really, the land that they were in eastern Canada was a little bit less desirable land that they made work for them. So I've also heard it told that part of why they were kicked out was they actually turned it into much more usable land. And so then others wanted to take it over, others who had more money and basically kicked them out. I think it's more about England, but that's probably a part of it. So they settled in this part of the country down there in Louisiana before it was a part of the United States. And then there was further intermingling, a lot of Native Americans. Over the years, they also, a lot of people of Latin origin, a lot of people of African origin really blended into this Cajun culture. Now, sometimes you'll hear the term Creole. So, Creole, the definition for that is so messed up and loaded, and it's incredibly varied. I actually have a friend, a former student, who this is a big part of her studies. And I actually asked her one time, I was like, so, what is Creole, as a specialist? And she was like, we are not going there because it is such a topic of argument. So Creole is sometimes people who were not sort of the from the original, who were not the original French Cajuns, slash who were not of the families more purely that were of that French Cajun origin. And then it's also oftentimes mixed in general and oftentimes mixed race. So many people of African descent these days, for example, who have lived perhaps for generations in Cajun country, well, it's also Creole country. That's a term that is sometimes used for them, but the term is pretty loose. It's not greatly defined. But one of the things that was a part of this culture for a long, long time and is still trying to hold on is Cajun French, like speaking this Cajun French. Well, what happened was I think it was 1921, there was a new constitution for the state of Louisiana, and they actually made it illegal to be speaking these other languages in school, for example. And then there was an even more of a push of this through like the middle of the 20th century, more of a push to like post World War II to go, you need to adapt, you need to speak English. And so literally, I have spoken to some Cajun French speakers who were beaten in school for speaking French on the school grounds. They could speak it at home. And in fact, one gentleman, for example, said that he didn't speak any English until he started school. And then he began to speak English. And initially it was difficult to remember, but after some beatings, he stopped. He stopped speaking as much French, but still would speak it at home, would still use it very commonly. Well, what happened is that that really reduced the number of French speakers. And even though there has been a push to bring it back, that's really come about in the last part of the 20th century and into the 21st century, it will probably never succeed because so often languages are driven by finances, and there's not a big financial need for French to be spoken there. So the odds of it coming back are not very high, but the culture still remains. So this Cajun French, right? So this would be sort of looking at English as a second language. So that gentleman, for him, English became a second language, and he still had like very much that the French influence on his Cajun speech. So when he would speak, you could very much hear that very French sort of sound to the way that he would speak. That was a big part of it. So that carried on. And so he was very much English as a second language, even though he started speaking English at the age of 5. But he was really looking at it through that sort of French lens, that Cajun French lens. Well, even many Cajun speakers today, depending on where they have lived and exactly how they grew up and such, many of them, well, they've still got like the Cajun that's going on there that has elements that seem like it's English as a second language. So, like what I'm trying to do here is a little bit from the land of like Henderson, Louisiana. So mostly Cajuns are largely in Louisiana. It carries over a little bit into some other areas, just into East Texas, for example. But it's almost all primarily south of Interstate 10. So I-10 that goes across the state, that goes across the country, actually. It's largely south of there where the center of Cajun culture is, but it does carry on up further north into Louisiana as well. So that part of Louisiana, that's the primary land of Cajun. So Henderson is a little bit south of I-10 in that area there. So what you still have are some of these elements. So there are elements, even though the most of them don't speak French anymore, other than a few words and phrases, definitely that English as a second language influence is present. So there are elements, I like to think of, well, there are second language accents and there are native speaker accents. And then there are a lot of accents that are kind of in that land in between. And Cajun is definitely one of those. It's got a lot of those elements. So a lot of times, for example, getting into sounds a little bit, some of the sounds, the R sound is one of the first things I almost want to go into. I almost always want to go into for an accent. And the R sound, most Cajun accents tend towards being non-rhotic, meaning dropping that R after the vowel. So here, there, mother, those kinds of things. That's part of what you'll hear in something that's like a stronger Cajun accent. But because America is primarily rhotic, saying the R's after vowels, there are a lot of Cajuns who say their R's after vowels too, although sometimes you'll still hear it dropped in certain instances. But they are sort of surrounded by hard R land. And that hard R and those southern elements, those other southern accents around them, probably had an influence on them as well. Coming back to the R for a moment, the R that tends to happen in most English as a second language accents is a little bit of a harder R where the tongue can get drawn back. A little bit of a heavier R. Right over there. So if you say your R, it's going to be more likely to be pulled back. And if you're looking at a pre-vowel R, ready, dress, bring, bring, it's that little bit further pulled back R, which you might think is more of a Southern R, sort of a Texas sort of R. So those are some of those R elements, but it's got other English as a second language elements as well. You will tend to hear the THs becoming D and T like these, things. So it's like a very dull D and a very dull T. So instead of a D's, tangs. It's a very dull one. It's moving from the tip of the tongue to the blade of the tongue and probably just onto the teeth. These tangs, that's very common throughout this Cajun country for those to happen that way. You'll also get certain vowel sounds that shift over towards that. A couple of diphthongs that really commonly change for ESL accents, English as a second language, are the A as in face and the O as in goat, going towards A and O, more like a pure A and O. And that's very common for Cajun speakers. Face, goat. So a little bit more of those pure vowels that you'll tend to hear from many other ESL speakers. You do get variations in Cajun accents around different parts of Cajun country. So you'll hear from many speakers that Southern-esque thing of dropping the second half of the I diphthong, as in price, becoming a little bit of price, price. But you'll also hear a lot of rounding from many Cajun speakers, like price. And that second half may be gone completely or even just reduced. But again, you got some variations. Another thing that I think is really helpful for you to know up front with regards to Cajun is the intonation. So the musicality tends to be almost like French and Southern met. So a lot of Southern accents people describe as a drawl, and this is what I like to think of as a dip. So a lot of Southern accents get this sort of like skipping the stone, right? So skipping the stone along as you're skipping along the water like that. So that's a lot of Southern accents along that line. And the Cajun, they tend to have a little bit of that as well. And with a French accent, it's very common with French accents to get like, if I'm going more like French as in France, this sort of is a lightness at the end. And a lot of Cajuns, they got a lot of that kind of similar, like carrying on like that. Especially if you're looking at somebody who's more like the French Cajun speaker, that they're gonna oftentimes have that skip in the stone, but then a lift as well. And when you get more towards somebody who's doesn't speak French as a second language, but is a Cajun speaker, you're going to hear some things that's right along that same line, but probably dropping off because that's such an American thing, what I like to call the American clunk. That's a little bit more of what you're more likely to hear from somebody with a Cajun accent, is that dropping off at the end, who's a non-French speaking, or at least not primarily French speaking Cajun. So that's a little bit of the information about Cajun as you're trying to figure out exactly what are these elements. I do a much deeper dive in the materials on accent help for Cajun. So in that, you'll find me leading you through all of these different sounds, the intonation, the placement of it, all those elements. But there's also a lot of recordings of native speakers that I've done in my time traveling around, driving through the land of crawfish fields on either side of the road and meeting a lot of amazing people. It's a beautiful part of the country. So if you do ever have a chance to go there, it's a wonderful place to go. And in general, it's a very open and welcoming community, especially surprising considering how much people came in and oppressed them for so long. But now, actually, there's so much tourism that's a big part of their economy that that's probably one of those reasons that they are more welcoming. And it is, in general, a very, very welcoming society. So I'd encourage you to check that out. If you're trying to learn the accent, you can check out the materials here on Accent Help. And if you want to learn about over 50 different accents, there's all these different materials for learning accents available.